you really need to study these as individual drugs because again, when you look at the side effect profiles, they'll be very different. So again, olanzapine, more potent H1 antagonist, so it'll be more sedating, as well as quetiapine, as compared to say aripiprazole. So it'll be less sedating because you see less of that actually. The CYP interactions, right? Particularly for clozapine, olanzapine, and clozapine, very particular there. You notice clozapine has a lot of additional side effects. We'll have a separate section for clozapine to get into these because clozapine is very special. Very special. It's a very special drug. Frustratingly special, unfortunately. Okay? There might be some similarities, again, you can use to make the studying less tedious, so like the pins. So the pins are generally, they're all sedating usually. The pins have high to moderate risks of metabolic syndrome, sure. Although, again, it's the two pins that are higher. Unique indications, you can check it out in the handout. This one, I'm very happy with this photo. I made this as a personal memory aid for aripiprazole's properties. Aripiprazole, think of it as a ripoff. What are you ripped off from? Gambling. What is it with gambling and partial D2 agonists? Remember, there are D2 receptors in the nucleus accumbens responsible for pleasurable rewards and even impulse control problems. So, when you partially activate D2 receptors in the nucleus accumbens, well, yeah, it can help improve mood, but there's also a component there where there might be effects on impulse control, such that there is a warning that partial D2 agonists like aripiprazole may lead to problems with compulsive gambling, sex, and related behaviors. Basically, behaviors where there is dysregulated impulse control. So that is one thing you're ripped off, the impulse control. So that's why you see the Munchlax is worried that the Munchlax they're betting on will lose the gamble. That's one thing. You notice also the Munchlax is very restless because it is worried it's going to be ripped off. Restlessness, akathisia. So this is one particular side effect that is very notable for aripiprazole. Aripiprazole has less EPS as the 3rd gen, but akathisia is very prominent in aripiprazole. This is actually the so-called antipsychotic that I took that got me very restless in the review center. So I remember the sensation very well. I remember it like it was just yesterday. Very distressing. What else I ripped off? You see this card here in the middle? This is ripped in half. Sugar. I placed it here because again, among the so-called antipsychotics, it is the 3rd gen with the lowest risk of metabolic dysregulation. So aripiprazole is relatively, don't let your guard down, but again, the risk is really lowest with aripiprazole and brexpiprazole. And you see there at the back, you see like this is a cup of C2 apple juice, but let's pretend that's P. So what else are you ripped off? You're ripped off a drug test. So this can cause false positives with amphetamines. There you go. So that's just one way to remember.